It is all about the lies. From the inner circle of Joe Biden to his wife, the First Lady, and yes, the White House doctors, too. There just isn't any doubt right now that these people knew what was going on with the rapidly declining health of the president. That is something that I suggest is criminal. They all knew. Barack Obama, Jake Sullivan, John Kirby, Antony Blinken, and many, many more. And instead of doing what was right to protect this country, to protect America, they lied to protect their jobs and protect their power. I truly hope that when the Republicans are back in power, they will rip back the curtain and expose these people for what they are. Power-hungry monsters that will do anything to keep themselves in control. To them, it appears the nation didn't matter one bit as long as they could prop up old Joe Biden, pretend he was all right, and maintain their power and control, and, of course, keep the money trains flowing. It's so bad now that people that play make-believe for a living, that play make-believe and dress up for a living, they can't even pretend Joe Biden is okay anymore. The latest to call for him to leave is George Clooney, who just 3 weeks ago held a fundraiser that brought in $30 million for Joe Biden. Now it's all done. And he says it's time for a new candidate. I mean, didn't he know then it was over, or did he just lie too? David Axelrod says George Clooney dumping on Joe Biden was very telling. I'd say, listen to this.
The thing about the piece, Dana, that I thought was particularly impactful was Clooney, who just hosted a fundraiser, a major fundraiser for the president a few weeks ago in California, said you can't win the battle against time. None of us can. It's devastating to say, but Joe Biden I was with 3 weeks ago, the fundraiser was not the Joe Biden of 2010. He wasn't even the Joe Biden of 2020. He was the same man we all witnessed at the debate. That is devastating. That's devastating.
Yeah.
All of that makes me angry. I mean, if he knew then that it's the same guy we all saw at the debate, why didn't he say something? But there is one group that stands out to me more than the others for failing the American people, by failing to do their jobs. Those are the men and women of corporate media and the corporate media complex right here in America. Jon Favreau from Pod Save America's podcast also decided now is the time to stop lying about Joe Biden's fitness for office, and he said this.
It was not surprising to any of us who were at the fundraiser. I was there. Clooney was exactly right, and every single person I talked to at the fundraiser thought the same thing, except for the people working for Joe Biden, or at least they didn't say that. But I remember my wife Emily turned to me after the fundraiser and said, "What are we going to do?" I mean, and I said, "Well, there's a debate in a week. Either he'll do well in the debate, and we'll think, well, he was just tired because he flew all the way back from Europe, and that'll be that, or he'll be like this at the debate, and then the whole country will be talking about it." So here we are.
Here we are, and Jon Favreau, another coward. Another coward who saw behind the curtain and knew exactly what was going on and refused to tell you or me, and that raises a lot more questions, too. Here's the big question. What did the media know about Joe Biden? When did they know it? I think it goes back to before the 2020 election. But they apparently hated Donald Trump so much more than they loved their country and more than they could handle to muster the integrity to do what was required of them. Simply tell the truth. They failed you, and they failed me. They failed America. When did the media decide they could no longer cover Joe Biden without participating in an ongoing cover-up? When will the media stop lying to us? How many more debates must we watch? How many more denials must we read before the media finally and fully abandons Joe Biden? How long must we wait before the media is going to report the news instead of distorting it or trying to rationalize what they have done by insulting us and insulating Joe Biden? The questions answer themselves because the media do not ask Joe Biden substantive questions. They don't ask him much at all. We'll find out today. Big day. It's the big boy news conference today. You see, the media are exactly what they claim to hate. The media deplore us, the alleged deplorables, and because the media deplore anything that contradicts their narrative, because the media hate anyone who disapproves of their narrative, we suffer. Because we threaten their strange agenda for this country, a twisted agenda that would turn this country into something it's not. We suffer the indignity of fake news every day. But America's awake now, almost fully having seen the grotesque spectacle of the June 27th debate, where President Biden was completely helpless to even hold a coherent conversation with President Donald Trump. Joe Biden became political roadkill that night. He still is. It was there for everyone to see up close and in person. But that disaster has now ushered in an urgency for change. You see, we refuse to suffer another 4 years of Joe Biden because we're mad as hell, and we're not going to take this anymore. Those words belong to Howard Beale, the tragic character in the 1976 film Network. 48 years later, the film is more fact than fiction looking at it now. The film seems like a documentary, with Beale as the self-described mad prophet of the airwaves. The film is prophetic because we live the story with today's media. We get nothing but stories. They tell us stories, bogus stories, cover stories, frankly, worthless stories. We get almost nothing of substance, nothing that's real. We get nothing of value, period. We get hand-fed the narratives that are pre-approved by the overlords in the corner offices. Offices in places like the Rockefeller Center and the DNC, among others. We don't get legitimate news stories. We're fed garbage about celebrities. I mean, the media covers things like the life and death of Michael Jackson, for example, more than the failures of the leader of the free world. Remember the wall-to-wall coverage of Michael Jackson? Just think if the media had done that for Joe Biden, actually vetted the candidate back in 2020. We wouldn't be in this position today, would we? The answer is no. We get lies about the truth, like the media's treatment of the Hunter Biden laptop. They ripped it as misinformation when, in fact, what they were churning out was completely false. They were manufacturing misinformation, disinformation. At the behest of the Biden campaign, at the behest of Democrats, the news media has become useless. Useless. Yeah, the media lied to us. They knew they were doing it. The 51 intelligence experts lied, and they knew they were doing it as well. In fact, they have all been lying over and over and over again. It is the media for which I hold the greatest contempt. They had one job, one. Dig in, find the facts, and then tell us the truth. They had one job, and they failed. Deliberately failed. Let that sink in for a moment. They did this intentionally.